test drive's going so far so good. It's cool seeing this truck out in the city. We're still working on these wheels, so they look terrible right now. The other side doesn't look too bad. So happy it made it out here. So I'm back from my test drive, and see if it's still going. You can see that it's smoking by the brake disc. I was getting quite a bit of wobbling. The previous owner did tell us that caliper seizes, or it was going to seize, and it sure as hell did. So I'm gonna peel this wheel off and change out that caliper. We got the wheel off the truck for now. It's locked up, which is fine. Unfortunately, I'm not going to change the disc out for right now because we'll have to remove this whole assembly, and I just don't have the disc. So I have the caliper right here. It should just be a quick fix. We're going to pop this one off, put the new one on. Hopefully everything goes smoothly, nothing breaks. And I'm just going to have someone help me bleed the brakes, and we'll be back on the road with this thing. And then eventually I'll come back. I'll probably do the passenger side caliper as well, and the pads and the discs, just so everything is even the way it should be. So all you have to do to start, just to get the caliper out, is there's a bolt that goes in the bottom here and a bolt that goes in the top. All you gotta do is take those right out and the caliper will come right off. Alright, so taking those two bolts out was only like 5 seconds. The real struggle was prying this off. So we're just gonna kind of hang that up here. We don't want it to hang by the hose or else we'll ruin it. It'll be chilling there for a few. Now I just have to remove, there's 2 more bolts, both in which are a 19mm, which are on the back of the caliper. So there's one there where I put the socket and one right down here. We're gonna pop these off just to put the new bracket and everything on. We almost have this one out. It's I had to spray some PB Blaster on it just to help it kind of come out. I had to use the end of the jack as a pry bar. But yeah, I could probably take this out with my finger now. Good sized bolt. Alright, now we just gotta remove the top one. Hopefully that one's easy enough to push by hand. So we're gonna remove this, and this whole bracket should pop right off with the pads and all. Alright, now that those 2 are out, this slides right off. Now, we just have to slide this right on there with the brake pads and all. So at this point, I've just tightened the bracket back in, and I've just placed both these brake pads right on the rotor. Now we can literally take the caliper and slide it right over it and mount it up. But before I get that far, I'm going to break off. This is probably, hopefully this is the easiest bolt to take off, but this is our brake hose, and it connects right to the back of the caliper. So we're just gonna break that bolt free. I'm probably not gonna get too much of it on camera just because I'm gonna have a bunch of brake fluid all over my hands. I'm gonna break that free. I'm gonna take my new copper gaskets, put them on one on each side of the block, and place it in the new caliper. Now once I've done that, I'm gonna just take the caliper, place it back up here, and put on both the bolts that were holding the caliper in place. Alright, so we just changed the caliper. I bled all 4 brakes. Thankfully all the bleeder screws came undone really nicely. But I was noticing the pedal is still right on the floor. And then I filled this right up to the max line. It was a little lower, and I saw some fluid hanging off the side of the master cylinder. So I'm gonna have my little brother start up the truck real quick, and I'm gonna have him pump the brakes a few times, and let's see if it squirts anything. Yep. Make sure it's in neutral. Yep. All right, now I'm gonna have you slowly let it squirt off the clutch if it's in neutral, and pump that brake a bunch. He is pumping it, but I'm not really seeing any fluid. Maybe it's not the master cylinder. I was seeing some leaking, but well, he pumps out. I guess we'll check under the truck and see if we're getting any puddles. Looks like I do have one coming out right here. I just put this caliper on. Yeah, it looks like it's seeping through that hose. Alright, so it's now the next day. I'm a little sick, so don't mind my voice. But I'm going to end up replacing that hose that was on this driver's side. And then, at the same time I do that, I'm going to lift the truck right up in the air and get both wheels off because I'm going to change this upper control arm. So let's get this thing, let's get the wheels off and get it in the air. All right, now that we have both wheels off, I'll show you guys what we're looking at. So right in here, wish I could turn the wheel to the right. That right there, in between the hose and the caliper, there is a copper gasket, but it's dripping. You can actually see a drip coming off of the bottom right there. So I'm just gonna replace this hose and that line, because I doubt that line will separate from the hose. I mean, if it does, I'm gonna try it, but I doubt it. It's probably just gonna break. So run that back up to the master cylinder, and then over on this side, sorry, I don't mean to have you guys looking at two things at once. You can see that's the crack in the A-arm. So, you know, I want this truck to be safe for the road, safe for us and the people, you know, that we're sharing the road with. So we'll be changing out that A-arm as well. This about sums it up. So we've put the new upper control arm in. We have the new ball joint. We have that all tightened up. We put the new tie rod ins. Those are all tightened up. All the cotter pins are in place. Everything is tight. So now the next step is we're going to put the wheel on, and we're going to go to the other side and change out the other tie rod end. Since we've changed out the tie rod ends, no matter what, we need to get a front end alignment. We plan to lower this truck down on 4-inch lowering blocks anyway, which means we're going to have to crank down the torsion bars. So it all just kind of works out really well. We're going to go to the other side, change the other tie rod end, and then wait for the smaller tires to come in, get those mounted. We're going to get the truck dropped down 4 inches where it needs to be, and it's going to have a nice little stance, and it's going to look really, really good. All right, so we got that wheel on right now. It's nighttime, of course, and I got the new hose and brake line in, so now we just have to bleed this thing, and I think we're good to put the other wheel on. All right, so we got the wheels off. We were trying to check the brake drums. This turned terrible. We could not get the drum off no matter what. I had to cut the pins that hold the shoes in place. As you can see, this has been extended quite a bit, and our pads are like paper thin. So we got some new pads coming in a little later today, and we're gonna put, you know, we're just gonna change everything. The wheel cylinder, the brake shoes, the springs, just go right through it. We're gonna replace both the rears, and for some reason our pedal still goes to the floor. So hopefully we change that out, and we'll probably start chasing some lines if we're still not getting a firm pedal. Alright guys, so first thing is first, we already cut out these little clips that hold the shoes in place. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull this spring off of the shoe, pull the shoe out, pull the spring off the shoe, pull the shoe out, and I'm going to remove the spring down here and all the other springs that are just kind of hanging out, and the shoes will come off. They'll be loose. I'll put them on the ground, and I'll pick up the camera when I get there. I'll show you guys really quickly some of the parts we're changing. Right here we have our drums, we have our shoes, we have our wheel cylinder, and our whole kit with all the springs we need. So it is a new day. Last night we had to go out and get some new lines. I could not get the line off of the old wheel cylinder. As you can see, it's still connected. So like I said, I just ran some new ones. Right now the wheel cylinder's just there. It was gonna rain, you know, this and that, so I just want to make sure no fluid leaked out and all that fun stuff. So I'm gonna unconnect that. I'm gonna put it back in the drum, bend the line where I need it to so it fits in the wheel cylinder. And same with the other side. I'm just going to leave the other side together. I took some pictures, but just in case I want to use it as a reference to put the other side back together. I may actually try to remove these bump stops too. I'll see how things are looking when I get there, but eventually we will be lowering down the truck, so they're just kind of in the way. We have gotten the bump stop out just since we were here, and my only problem right now is I'm slowly piecing everything together. I went to go grab the adjuster, the self-adjuster for the shoes, and what do you know? One of the forks is broken. I wanted to change this part anyway, you know what I mean? If we're changing everything, it's like a $10 part. Why not just make it all brand new? But yeah, so we're gonna grab a new one for each side, so I'll be back again. So at this point, I just gotta take this wheel cylinder off as well. There's two 10mm bolts on the back. I still have the old line ran, and I have my new line sitting right here. I just got to bend up into place. So what I'm going to do is take my two 10mm bolts out, pull this out with the whole line, bend this line to where I need it to be, put the wheel cylinder in place, put my new two 10mm bolts in, and then put the line right to the back of it. So now before I can even get the wheel cylinder out, I'm going to have to take the whole assembly apart. So first, you got to start with your shoes, and you have these these little pins that come through a spring. And basically, I got the assembly right here to show you. So basically you have this pin that goes through a spring and you got this little lock. And there's a special tool that kind of helps get those off. We have the screwdriver right here. And basically you can just kind of, you want to put your finger on the back of the shield. You'll press down on this and turn it until pretty much like, you know, this breaks free. And this is what holds your brake shoe in place. See, now that's loose. So what I'm going to do now is after I get that side out, we are going to take the wheel cylinder off. So now that the spring is off the shoe and I got the shoe off, this side has this little horseshoe clip. I just basically got to bend that apart, pull it off, and the shoe will come forward and I can take this side off, and I'm just going to reassemble it on the ground so I can see where all my springs go, just as a reference, even though I did take pictures. And now also I should be able to just take a hammer, tap this right off because it's just stuck in place because of corrosion, and it'll come right out. So right now at this point in time, UPS just left. We're still messing with the brakes on the black truck, but some progression for us on the purple truck. Our inner fenders are in. Hey, look, we got a new horn too. Wow, this is so awesome. This is like progression time now. Hey guys, so it's Derek here. I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of background info really quickly. We were having a hard time putting the brake drums that we got on the truck, so I ended up using one of the new drums off Travis's red truck we just put on 2 months ago because they were obviously a little more worn down, and threw it on the back of the black truck and then took the new brake drum and put it on the red truck. And another thing too, you may have noticed if you have done this a ton of times before too, I ended up later on, but I didn't get it on video, swapping around the brake shoes because there's they have sides. There's a front and a rear brake shoe. I ended up realizing that after, so I swapped them out, hoping it would have been able to help me fit the drum. So anyway, we put all the drum brakes back together, and sure enough, we didn't have a brake pedal, so we decided to go with trying to swap the master cylinder. Alright guys, so it's a couple days after I finally figured out my brake drum situation. We have those all put on the ground. We still didn't have a foot pedal though. So right now, we're changing out our master cylinder. It's raining, so I'm not really going to make a how-to video. I just wanted to get a clip of this for some progress to show you guys. So I'll let you know how that goes, and hopefully after this we'll get a foot pedal. Alright guys, so I can definitely admit when I'm wrong. So, I was driving the truck right after we got the transmission put back into it. It drove great, and then the driver's side caliper seized. The guy we got the truck off of had a spare caliper, and he had already changed the passenger side one. Well, what it ended up happening was after I changed the caliper, we had no pedal at all, and I was trying to figure it out. I ripped off the rear brake drums, and what do you know, they were like paper thin. They needed to be changed, so we changed them. Everything in them, you know, you all saw it on the videos. We've changed some lines. We even just right now changed the master cylinder and still had no pedal. Come to find out, what I'm thinking our problem may be at this point is just these bleeder screws are at the bottom. They should be at the top, so no air's getting out. So essentially we're going to swap the calipers around. I was reading some forums, someone mentioned that. I gave the guy who used to own the truck a call, and he was so helpful, like helping us spitball some ideas, and it was just something as simple as this. So, you know, the more you learn, always make sure your bleeder screw's at the top. It's a really, really good life experience, you know. When you can't figure something out, don't give up. You just keep trying, and eventually you'll figure it out. So we're going to swap those around, bleed the brakes, and hopefully that's our issue. Alright, so after swapping around those calipers, you guys have no idea the victory I feel being able to hit my brakes and literally stop. Holy, we have put so much work into this thing. Man, this is great. Well, alright everybody, just want to give a quick recap on the truck. So I got pretty sick working on this thing ever since the transmission. Being out here every day in the cold, laying in the snow, bleeding the brakes, trying to figure out why our drums weren't fitting on. Sorry if there's some missing clips. I mean, we were just trying to be on the go as possible because there's snow on the ground, and this is supposed to be our winter truck. So, you know, sometimes doing the work was just way more important than grabbing the camera and filming. But anyway, yeah, we replaced the rear drums. They needed to be done anyway. It's nice having all these fresh lines. Even the master cylinder being in place is so nice to have that. You know, just that peace of mind that that's brand new. It was as simple as swapping the calipers. Probably this side was upside down, you know, by the time we had gotten the truck. And then when I replaced this one, it was just the wrong side. So it ended up also being upside down without me even realizing. And that just sparked the problem, but it's a good thing anyway. Like I said, the drum brakes needed to get done no matter what. So now the truck's a little safer for the road. It's a little more reliable. But as I lose my voice, I just want you guys to know I'm so thankful you guys are sticking around and watching. Like I said, I'm still learning. You know, I got a lot to learn myself, and you know, hopefully this helps anybody else out in the future that's having similar problems. So thank you guys so much for watching this video, checking it out, and hopefully you guys learned a thing or two from my mistakes. And you know, that's why I don't mind uploading something like this, because you know, people fuck up, to be very honest with you, and it's just a part of life, and you get over it, you learn from it. That's some knowledge I'll carry on with me for the rest of my life. So thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow along for the rest of the journey. The next video will be a little more exciting, where we'll be lowering down the truck.